In our life, there is one individual that we cannot be apart from even if we try to. That individual is so close to us that sometimes we don't even realize their existence. That individual is ourselves. And oftentimes, there is one other individual in our life that we look up to. That individual, our role model, is just so perfect in our perspective that we want to follow what they do and be like them. Whether or not our role model is someone we're close to or someone we have never met before, we sometimes or oftentimes feel more interconnected to our role model than how we feel to ourselves. Then, how do we actually get to know ourselves, the one standing right beside us? Hi, my name is Yijung. In my family, there are 2 daughters, myself and my older sister. To briefly introduce my older sister, she is the best sister, my friend, my supporter, and my mentor. We grew up almost every second together, and she has been my role model since I was young. Despite all of these images I have of my sister, the strongest one to me is the image of perfection. She was just so perfect in my perspective. Not only a literal meaning of being perfect, condition, state, or quality of being free or as free as possible from all the defects or flaws. To me, she also demonstrated a perfect life. She was an outstanding student. She was a good first daughter. She was a strong leader. She was a good friend. In my perspective, it appeared that she was having the ideal life. And myself, comparatively speaking, was always the one that causes troubles and lacking in some way. And I wanted her life. Living with her allowed me to learn a lot from my sister and to have opportunities to improve myself. And I can say for sure that being my sister's younger sister is one of the greatest things in my life. Then here comes 2020. Yes, COVID-19 came. I know that 2020 was not easy for everyone due to various reasons. No matter how big or small the impact was, we all have gone through the phase of coronavirus where we couldn't pursue our normal life. And to me, 2020 was like a flood. Not because of pandemic, but because of time, space, and emptiness I had. As the lockdown began, there was a change in my life routine which repeated almost every day. And as a 9th grader at that time, an invisible pressure about future and career followed along with the title of being a high school. Everything seemed so chaotic in a way that I didn't even know what to do. Then, when I was asked to plan out my future, I had no answer. I was stuck. Planning your future does not come easily. To plan your future, you actually need to know yourself and understand who you are. But I didn't understand who I am at that time. And the worst thing was that I didn't know that I didn't understand myself. So I was stuck there, a little miserable and uncertain. And I thought that the reason for being stuck was because I wasn't confident enough to say what I'm good at. So simply, to solve this problem, I tried everything I could to increase my self-confidence. For example, I set goals for each day that I follow what I need to do and feel accomplished at the end of the day. I exercised and tried to have a healthy diet. I did all of my work and sometimes did more than what I've planned to do to feel better about myself. I even read a small narrative about a person with low self-confidence and how she overcame it. All of these helped me to feel somewhat better about myself, but this wasn't the way to get me unstuck. Through the lens of mine, all I could see was my perfect sister living her best life, while myself was struggling to get out of this locked space. And all I could see was a huge gap between myself and a pathway which leads to my sister's ideal life. But thankfully, I wasn't just stuck there without doing anything. All of my thought process and a small journal where I wrote all of my thoughts down helped me to come to realizations that there is no pathway between myself and my sister's ideal life. that it is never possible for me to be my sister, and that all I had to do was find the key in my own space, not longing for what's not mine. For all these years, I've been just comparing myself to my sister, trying to live the ideal life that my sister was having, and fitting myself into the standards my sister had. Even in a moment where I was supposed to think of my own future, not anyone else's. Because I was focusing too much on my sister, how she does, not myself, I wasn't aware of myself. I was only seeking for what my sister does. I thought that everything my sister did was perfect, and as my role model, I thought she was living the most perfect life. However, that wasn't the truth. The memory of TEDx stories that my sister shared 2 years ago came up in my mind. 2 years ago, my sister shared a story of how she tried to break the perfection that she was seeking for and how it was okay to let yourself be free from expectations. She talked about how it was important to be yourself and to not have unrealistic expectations on yourself. We all live in such a hurried world. We're always so busy with our work and we're obligated to do numerous things in our life. So sometimes time just passes by without us even noticing. And there's our role model living in the same world, but who seems to have the most peaceful, stable, and fluent life. Then we start comparing ourselves to our role model who has the perfect life and rebuking ourselves. Never feeling enough, not really recognizing who we are. Because our role model is someone we set up in our life, someone who already has a perfect life even before becoming our role model, we tend to think that it is the best to follow what they do and be like that. Yet, we do not acknowledge the fact that our role model is a human too, and they also go through what we go through. Just because that individual is our role model, that does not mean that they actually have the perfect life that we imagine and we need to follow what they do. So, why don't we start focusing on ourselves? Find something that is unique in yourself, something that makes you feel proud of and satisfied, something that can make you appreciate yourself. As for me, although I didn't look for something big or anything, but I look for small little things that make me feel proud of and are interesting about me. So what I found out was that I can be really empathetic to my friends, that my friends can easily approach me whenever they have something on their mind. And another thing is that I can bake and make my family and friends be happy, some little sweets. We love our role model for inspirations, but that doesn't mean that we cannot love or appreciate ourselves. And with my experience, I can tell for sure that once we fall into a trap of only seeking for what's not ours, we lose ourselves. And it is far more important to understand who we are and then find unique traits in ourselves. Now, I want to ask one question. How are you doing with understanding who you are? It's okay to not have a definite answer to this question, and this may be a hard question to answer. However, you should ask this question to yourself consistently. And to answer this question, my advice would be to look back at yourself. And looking back at yourself does not need to include the whole journey of going through meditation or self-reflection, but just like me, going through a thought process or having a journal where you can write down your thoughts can help to look back at yourself. So don't rush and go slowly if you need to. And find what's unique in yourself. Understand who you are and appreciate what you have. Self-awareness is the key. So start asking yourself this question. How are you doing with understanding who you are? Thank you.